Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow video game enthusiasts. So, I recently finished Cyberpunk 2077, and this game shares lovers and haters alike on the internet. And it took me quite a while to think about if I still want to do a review about this game. But since we're talking about the game that is unfinished and was thrown on the market prematurely, just like my ejaculation, I thought, let's give it a try. So here's my review on Cyberpunk 2077. So basically I want to talk about three things about the game: the world and the overall world building, the story, and the gameplay. And no, I don't want to talk specifically about bugs or glitches, because you can find them everywhere on the internet, no matter where you look, and they have been beaten to death like a dead horse. And at the end you get my personal final rating for Cyberpunk 2077. And there's a little twist to it, because I have actually two ratings, but I explain this at the end. So Cyberpunk plays, like the title says, in the year 2077, and you can expect a really futuristic world. So we have really modern cars, we have things flying around like government vehicles for searching criminals and garbage disposals and all that stuff. All kinds of lights, holograms. The clothing looks pretty odd in a futuristic way, and overall it delivers many different aspects that you could expect from a dystopian futuristic game. Every kind of futuristic scenario you could imagine, like what's basically your favorite version of a dystopian futuristic world, you're practically given. My personal favorite dystopian futuristic world iteration is this whole Neo-Tokyo neon light cyberpunk wave, you know what I mean. Among friends and family, I'm known for that I like Japanese stuff. They have katanas, classic ones, cyber katanas, thermal katanas, electric katanas, mantis blades, a giant Buddha statue in some sort of park, and even in one part of the story there's this big parade with this big dragon holographs and koi carps, and for me personally, this is my kind of futuristic city scenario that I want to explore. And Cyberpunk gave me exactly that. So no matter how you see a futuristic dystopian world that you want to play in, you basically have every option known to men when it comes to a dystopian futuristic world that you can dream of. So in terms of world building, Cyberpunk nailed it pretty hard. So let's quickly talk about the story. I personally didn't expect much from the story, so my expectations were quite low, and maybe that's the reason I wasn't disappointed. The story is nothing groundbreaking. Without spoilers, here are just a quick rundown of the basic story. So you start off as the character V. You can choose if you want to be male or female, and you choose one of three life paths, that be a corporate, a street kid, or a nomad, which are like different kinds of initial starts for the storyline. So where you start inside the city, inside the game, and in the course of the game you play as a mercenary. So you take jobs here and there and try to make a quick eddy, which is the short term for euro dollars, which is the currency in this world. At one point at the story you get this really big and dangerous mission, like from some client. You have to get some sort of microchip from this Arasaka boss junior, like the son of the head of the company, and things go extremely bad. And without spoiling too much, you basically have another human being inside your head. That is the most famous Johnny Silverhand, played by Keanu Reeves. And you met quite a few interesting people along the lines, which gave you new jobs and drag you towards the end of the story, and they're quite important for the story, and you can even have some relationships with some of these characters. So there's some variety to the story you can play, and there are some multiple endings to the story. So overall it's just an action-packed story, which isn't too mind-blowing, but overall pretty good. So without spoiling too much, it's worth a try. So now let's talk about gameplay. You have this normal character creation like you have in pretty much every other RPG. And it was praised by the developers of CD Projekt Red, like you have so many options and it is so diverse. And bullshit. You basically have the same random preset face modules and body parts. You can choose how thick you are, how tall you are. That's basic. That is nothing special. And what's up with the hair colors? When I play an RPG and I create my character, I want to have a white colored a character with white hair. That is not possible. That is simply not possible. Even it's there is the little square with this. It's clearly white, but if you choose it, it's some sort of garbage, dirty, I never washed my hair color. And that pisses me off. The character creation is so pathetic. There are free-to-play MMOs out there from Asia where you have more options. In these games are free-to-play. And someone took the time and gave you more options to create your character. I mean, yeah, you have some weird choices like do you want to have nipples or not? And you can choose the size of your ding dong. And yeah, that's funny for like the first 5 minutes or so, but then it has no real value to the overall gameplay or to the story. I mean, like it's just a nice gag, but nothing you could brag about while presenting the game to the bigger audience. So character creation is pretty meh. But what I'm really disappointed in is the fact that the game is on purpose, of course, but you can only play in first person perspective. So that means it doesn't matter what I wear, I can see it anyway, unless I go into the menu or I'm riding a motorcycle. So at the end, I don't care about what I wear, but only about the stats it gave me. And that overall makes the whole character creation completely nonsense, because I want to have the option to go into third person and actually look at my character how I look. And if I can't see my character, why should I care about the character creation? I think Skyrim had the option to go into third person, which is a nice gimmick, because you actually can see your character, what you're wearing, how your armor looks, and that is just a missed out opportunity. But since we're on the topic of gameplay, there are some mods on the PC. I personally played on the PS4 Pro, but there are mods on the PC version where you can actually play the game in third person, and oh my god, the character model is not finished. Like when you play in third person, the character model is totally glitched, like getting really thin and your body is moving weird. That's why they don't include it. So after you created your character, you basically choose between three life paths, that being a corporate, if you want to have to be like the one super rich from a big company guy that wears suits and stuff, or you start as a nomad, which lives in the desert, works on cars, and you get this whole Mad Max vibe, or you start as a street kid. So you basically struggle through life with jobs, try to survive, and became a mercenary because that's the only thing you can offer. And from there on, you choose like how you want to play the game. You have different dialogue options, which seem to change the course of the story and how you develop relationships with different characters. But most of the time, they don't seem to make a difference at all. Like you have an artificial feeling of choice, which actually doesn't change anything in terms of the game. There are some dialogue options which you can choose that might affect the story in some way, or especially the ending, but it doesn't feel so impactful like you may think in a game like Heavy Rain or Life is Strange or Detroit. What's it called? Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human. Other than that, you have your typical Western RPG traits like collecting and looting. Pretty much every room you come in, you can grab a bunch of random things that are lying around, like cigarette packages, playing cards, different cans of food, and different items for no special reason, I guess. And then of course you have your, I would say, skill system. You basically have a variety of traits like strength, smartness. I just show them on the screen so you know how they're actually called. And they basically determine how you want to play the game. For example, you can skill up your melee weapon skills so that you're fighting with knives and swords are more effective than your gun skills, for example, or vice versa. So you can decide for yourself what kind of combat system you want to play the game in. And then skills like strength, where if you level it up, you can forcefully open doors and they lead to different loot locations or offer different paths you can go on in the city. And your overall hacker skills, which allow you to hack different computers for more money you can collect from those computers and all that stuff. And the skill tree itself is pretty straightforward, nothing special to be honest, because everything you upgrade is just a percentage better version of the point you skilled before. So there's not such a deep variety of things you can do different than the time you played the game for the first time. Then there's also some sort of crafting system, and I'm not a big fan of crafting systems in games unless they make a lot of sense, unless they're necessary to win the game and to evolve yourself inside the game. And in Cyberpunk, I had the feeling that crafting is a waste of time. I never did it, I didn't understand it, and I didn't bother to understand it because at the end it wasn't necessary for me to beat the game and have some sort of fun. So crafting in this game, if you play it, try it out for yourself. I don't like it, I don't need it. Take it for whatever you want. Crafting, not for me. Speaking of skills, combat system. Let's talk about combat system. And the combat system itself was pretty fun. The shooting functions really well, aiming is okay. The swordplay itself is a little bit disappointing, but I still managed to have some sort of fun with it, and that was basically my go-to way to attack someone from behind with a sword and cut their limbs off. I don't know, that's my thing, don't know about you. You also have a pretty small variety of weapons. I don't know, maybe they're like 10 ranged weapons, which you can get in a variety of versions with different stats, for example. And katanas also come in a small variety, but always getting better and better with the stats as you progress inside the story. And you can hack things. You can hack, for example, cameras or cars or vending machines, just to manipulate the area and to distract enemies, for example. Or you can hack said enemies so they burn out, or they don't see anything, or they just simply explode. So combat in this game is a good factor. Although I would appreciate if I had the chance to play it in third person, so I would actually see how my character is moving. But since the character models are not developed until the end, do I really want to see him move? I don't know. Speaking of third person, you can see your character when you're driving a motorcycle. So that brings me to the point of driving inside the game. You have cars and motorcycles. That's it. That in itself is enough. Don't get me wrong, but driving in this game is a pure nightmare. Some of you might have played GTA 5, and driving cars is pretty good. It's fun, it's intuitive, it feels correct, although it is not a simulator, it is not meant to be realistic, but overall it is fun and it feels good. Driving in Cyberpunk is a nightmare. The controls are too oversensitive, the roads feel like you were driving on ice, it's imprecise. Driving in this game is no fun. You might have to change some things inside the controls. For example, the sensitivity of the cursor, no matter what you play with the controllers, with your joysticks. So overall, driving in this game is a nightmare. If you're someone that likes driving in this game, please tell me in the comments why you like it, because I hate it. But still, there are some fun cars. You can steal cars if you have enough special ability points to steal the car. But unlike in GTA, you can't keep the car. But you can buy cars for tremendous amounts of money, which money is hard to earn in this game. So basically, look up online how to get specific cars for free. There's always a way. And then you have your cars. Nothing special about it in this game. Besides the main story, you have also side quests. They mostly range from having gang fights on the streets to helping the police when there's some robbery going on, delivery services, theft, all that stuff. So your typical generic GTA side missions, if you want. They're pretty repetitive, but still I caught myself doing them like all the time besides the main story for whatever reason. So yeah, that's basically it. You have your checklist game and you open the map, you have your different points on the map where you can go, like missions. But in those missions you can unlock, for example, other weapons or set cars, or just get to know other characters which you can develop relationships with. Speaking of relationships, depending on which gender you choose while you're creating your character, there are different characters you can have relationships with. And with relationships, I mean, you can have intercourse. As some of you might remember, CD Projekt Red made a big claim you can have sex in this game. And I personally thought, yeah, I don't know about you, but I thought I can walk to a random NPC on the streets, have a little conversation with them if I have the right skills and select the right choices in dialogue. I could take them home and have the fun. But there are only a few characters you can make love with. But overall, the sex scenes, they're also hookers. So they're called joy toys, which are basically prostitutes. You go there, you pay them 100 eddies, and then you have a cut to a certain location, and there's always the same scripted act of doing, and then you have another cut, and then you're back on the street and everyone goes their way. So I think sex in games is a much unexplored territory. So Cyberpunk tried but didn't deliver quite as they promised, I guess, because they made a really big thing out of it. At the end it was okay, nothing special. You do it a couple of times and then you realize that's just a waste of time and money. So let's come to a conclusion. It is pretty easy to shit on this game, and I personally don't enjoy these kind of open world games where you can go so easily away from your main story and do so many things on the side, like for example in Skyrim and Fallout 3. I think I played both of these games and I couldn't finish it. It was just too much. It was overwhelming. I know these games are pretty good because you have so many options, but usually I don't like these kind of games. I like straightforward games, and Cyberpunk is exactly that. It is an open world game where you have seemingly a lot of options, but still for some reason I kinda enjoyed it. The first 2 hours that I started to play the game, I was like already, I think I'm gonna drop this, I won't finish it. But on the second day, I caught myself playing this thing for 10 hours straight, with a little food break right in between, but still 10 hours straight gameplay. I was so soaked into this world, and that's what I think is the biggest reason why I sort of enjoy this game, even though there's so much negative things to point out on this game. There's so many bad stuff happening, so many unfinished things, but still I caught myself playing this game for endless hours, and that only happens if I have some sort of enjoyment. So I have to be honest to myself and say, even though there are so many flaws in this game, I kind of had my fun. I kind of enjoyed it, even though I'm so annoyed by this first person perspective all the fucking time and I can't even see my character, how I dressed him. I put in some effort, but I can't see him unless you go to some specific mirrors where you have to push a button to see your reflection, because on a random window on the streets you can't see your reflection, which is unfinished crap in my opinion. If you would have some cutscenes in the game where you see your character from the outside and you see what clothes he's wearing and how he looks and how he talks, but there are no cutscenes. Everything you see is from first person perspective. I know that's intentional, but that doesn't do it for me. But the biggest reason I think why I finished this game is because of the narrative and the world building. I like this sort of scenario, this futuristic cyberpunk style. It has been done quite a lot of times in pop culture, in movies, in games, in cartoons, animes, whatever. Like, remember Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, Ergo Proxy. And because I like the world and the scenario of Cyberpunk 2077 so much, I really hope they will make a movie or a TV series or anything with it, because the idea and the premise of this game was so overhyped and was so well presented, and I really hope to get the best out of it, but CD Projekt Red really under-delivered. And no one of us, or most of us, don't work in the industry. We don't know what's behind it. We know that the game should actually be released in April 2020, but then it went up to November 2020, I think. And we don't know what's behind it. We don't know the pressure from the developers, what kind of deals are in the background, who is hiring who, for what reason, and why things are delayed like they are. So we just have to take the final product and accept it how it is. Even though, and now comes the big part, bugs and glitches. But I don't think bugs and glitches are the worst problem, because they can be patched out. I think the bigger problem is what CD Projekt Red tried to promise us in all these presentations, which they didn't deliver at all. They made so many promises, and there's a YouTuber who made a video with specific comparing every points that the developers promised and how it actually went out in the game. I will link to this video in the description, and you'll probably see it somewhere in a corner here in this frame. Aesthetically, this game is a total win. I like this futuristic setting, no doubt about it. And CD Projekt Red really promises to deliver it later with updates and patches. And Cyberpunk has the potential to become the second Skyrim, but only if done right. So, long story short, I shit enough on this game, but still kind of enjoy it. So now I give you my final rating on this game, and I will give you 2 ratings. The first one is just the game as it is, without any backstory of development problems, without any bugs and glitches. Just the game, story, gameplay, just like it is. And the other rating takes bugs, glitches into consideration, and everything that the developers have promised us and didn't deliver. So the first rating is a 6 out of 10 for me. I really don't like so many aspects of this game. There's so many things are done wrong. But still, if I'm honest, I played it, I enjoyed it. I like to play it for hours straight, doing side missions, dressing my character, getting to know other characters in the game. So I have to be fair, even though there's so many things in this game that just suck, I still enjoyed it. 6 out of 10. And the second rating, considering bugs, glitches, promised things that never happened or were delivered inside the game thanks to different complications, 4 out of 10. Yes, 4 out of 10. Considering bugs, the game is not ready, and we don't know what the future brings for Cyberpunk. I think the game has so much potential, and the whole story, which delivered in a different medium, could be one of the best things ever made. Make a TV series, a movie, an anime, whatever. This narrative in a different medium would be insane. But that's how business works. Sometimes ideas don't get delivered and executed how they should be. And this game was so overhyped that the expectations were immense. They were insane for this game. Gamers all over the world, they expected so much from CD Projekt Red that couldn't be delivered. But because the big hype, all the things that were promised, all the hype around this game. From the start, Cyberpunk 2077 was the game that never really had a fair chance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me until the end of my first real gaming review in this year. My last review was Valorant, and that was in German, and that was last year. So basically, this is my first more produced, scripted video, if you want so. So thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up. If you found my channel from wherever and how you found it, I'm glad you're here if you're new to this channel. So consider subscribing if you like game reviews, if you like gameplay, if you like all topics in terms of gaming, Japanese culture, maybe there's something coming. Consider leaving a comment if you liked or didn't like this video. What have you to say about Cyberpunk? In which point you agree or disagree? I'm happy to read every comment. I have 46 subscribers, so I have the time to read at least 46 comments. So at this point. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, live a good life, and we all hope that 2021 will be better than last year. So see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye.